Hiya Marwa, long time.
Hi, Zena. How are you?
I'm good and yourself?
Satillik, how's everything? So good to see you.
Same here. Marwa is a very good friend from school time. It's been a long time I haven't seen her, and now she has taken one of the most challenging jobs for a big organization, which we're going to talk
Yes.
about in a bit. Awashi Marwa, thank you for being with me on 30 Minutes with Zena. I'm doing this segment also again in English, like Bassem. The reason is utilizing marketing terminologies in English is much easier. And today we're going to cover a very nice content in relation to changes in consumer behaviors that has been, happening due to the COVID-19 and which we're going to be seeing in the coming years. And we're going to discuss the terminology responsible indulgence, which is a very interesting term that's being used now and which we're going to encourage brands to use it. Marwa, you are the head of marketing and corporate communications at Masaood Group, which is a privately held and highly diversified group based in Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
And they have partnerships and activities with expertise over 18 different segments, ranging from automotive to retail to industrial to real estate, you name it. And you've been working a lot with these different categories, and marketing these categories are very challenging nowadays, which we're going to talk about also, because every single type of business has its own strategy in marketing. So
Absolutely.
if we jump to marketing, we always know that marketing is a link between a business and a consumer. And today, the consumer behaviors have changed, the spending power has changed, and the messaging of the brands are being revised to target
Absolutely.
specific demographics and specific age groups. Before we go into the details, let's talk from your expertise being working in a very big group like Al Masaood. What has changed in the market for the past 3 months, actually, if it's not a year, since the
Yes.
time the COVID started?
Yes. So we're lucky at Al Masaood to be basically involved in one of Abu Dhabi's, major economic sectors. We cover power, we cover construction, we cover automotive, we cover transportation, and we cover logistics. Um, Al Masaood was the very first company to ever open in Abu Dhabi. We have the trade registration #1, and this year the company basically celebrates its 50th anniversary.
Oh,
And what's very
congratulations.
interesting, thank you, is that we're actually older than the UAE. So the Masaood company was the first trading organization to open in Abu Dhabi before the United Arab Emirates united and became the UAE. So trade is in our blood. So let me tell you, living here in the UAE and looking after multiple segments, I think we all started the year super optimistic. I'm sure we all remember our New
Yeah.
Year's Eves. We all had our resolutions. 2020 was going to be the flagship year. And it was the same for companies. Even for us at Al Masaood, we were going to celebrate our 50th anniversary. And this meant we survived 50 years of ups and downs, and we're ready for the next 50. But then little did we know that the world was going to face a pandemic.
Yes.
Nobody had that in mind. So what we've seen is in the first quarter of the year, January, February, and March, customer sentiment was still there. We were still getting, record-breaking numbers of leads online. We launched our e-commerce website. We were the first Nissan dealer in all of the region to launch an e-commerce website. We sold our first car online from the very first day of launching the website, which meant people were ready to even buy cars online.
When was that?
So that was earlier in the year in January. From the
Okay.
very first day, we had somebody pay full amount of his car and come and pick it up.
Okay.
And we thought, people are just excited. We still had our government tenders. We still had our, big job tenders coming on construction, on power, on logistics, and so on. I think it took people a while to realize what the pandemic entails, and that's when we started seeing a dip. The dip started towards the beginning of April. So I can tell you confidently that the first quarter of the year was just fine. We made our numbers, we hit our targets, customers were still visiting the showrooms, people were still servicing their cars. Governments and public organizations were still buying fleets of trucks and, motorcycles, power engines and whatnot. But then April came, and April was also the month of Ramadan. And we saw a huge difference between Ramadan of this year and Ramadan of last year. So if I give you automotive, for example, people celebrate their love for automotive during Ramadan. They start going to the showrooms, they start checking out all of the new offers that are in place, and people were scared. People were staying
Just
in.
to explain to people that in Ramadan, usually you have amazing offers. That's why everyone goes to with discounts.
Absolutely.
And amazing rates.
Yes. But interestingly enough, people were still browsing, people were still calling and inquiring. People did not stop, the pandemic did not stop people from being curious. You would still surf the internet, you would still look for products that you fancy. We also have retail, we also have a lot of retail units under our group. We do jewelry, we do flowers, we do chocolates and cookies, we do some, premium fashion and perfumes. And we saw that the online activity is there. We did not see a dip in the leads. On the contrary, the online leads were increasing. But the transition from a lead to a conversion became a lot more difficult because people were surfing and inquiring because they had so much time on hand to surf and inquire, but they did not have an intention to buy. So we did have a strange Ramadan, like everyone said this year. And moving now into the summer period, we can see that consumer sentiment has dropped tremendously, but the intention to buy is not going away. People still want to buy. People still want to buy cars. People still want to buy, small items that add, fun and joy to their life, like, a premium cookie, a jewelry set and whatnot. And we all know there were industries that benefited a lot from the pandemic.
Of course,
everyone probably feels that employees of Dettol might be getting a big fat bonus this year.
And mind you, Procter and Gamble and FMCG and all of those were nagging for a long time that their sales have dropped. It was just boom in the past 2 months.
Boom. Everybody was sanitizing their hands and so on. So we've also seen an increase in some of our sectors. And I'm going to talk about our modular buildings. So one of our construction companies, Al Masaood Bergam, offer you modular buildings. This is a plug and play house. It's a ready-made, cabin. You can use it in your backyard. You can use it as a launch pad, as a majlis. In concerts, they usually use it as, mosques or, WCs and whatnot. And because there was a huge increase in providing quarantine facilities and makeshift hospitals, we had a quadruple surge in demand for modular buildings. And it was the same for our power divisions. So because of the makeshift hospitals, because of the quarantine, because of the backup plans that the healthcare sector wanted to put in place to make sure that they are working round the clock and they will never have a power outage, everybody was purchasing or putting in orders for, power engines. So there were industries
we talk about this industry in specific. How can you order, how can a consumer actually order a car online? Is it a facility that the bank is providing, or is it using credit cards, or how does it work?
Exactly. So with the digital innovation taking place with car dealerships now have to become a one-stop shop for a consumer. So what you do is you offer them online leasing options, online financing options. So instead of the consumer making the effort to come to your showroom, look around and try to, find the car they want, and then go to a bank and try to get a loan, and then go to an insurance company and try to insure their car, you as a dealer today have to offer everything yourself. So we do all the work for you behind the scenes, and all you have to do is click that button on the car that you want. But there has been a lot of infrastructure work that we had to put in place, especially with automotive. We had to basically provide virtual tours. So we had to do 360 virtual tours of our showrooms to give you the feel that you are standing right there with basically with the salesman in the showroom. And this was not enough. In the month of April, we were again the first car dealership in Abu Dhabi to offer an interactive sales experience, which we call the Clicks experience. And it's basically a one-on-one personal call or a personal video call with your sales advisor, who will walk you through the showroom, who will make you view the cars, who will make you hear the sound of the engine purring, will show you every bit and piece of the car that you want, and will basically try to conduct the sale with you behind a screen.
Okay, that's not bad. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure the client would like to have a look at the car eventually before buying, yes? Which I think is a facility that you'll provide.
Yes.
From a consumer perspective, before we jump to the responsible indulgence terminology, did you see that the diversion became more into the young generation more than the elderly generation, given the fact that a lot of, you know, not the middle generation, the older generation don't know how to actually use technology? I'm not expecting a lot of them to understand ordering on apps, right? So are we seeing this segment targeting more a younger generation to order cars online and, you know, not just cars, anything?
Exactly. So I have to say that the UAE has a very young population, and I can confidently tell you that the majority of our customer audiences start from the age of 16. So the biggest audience that we have is between the age of 16 and 26. Okay. Now, the older generation, believe it or not, is a lot more tech savvy than we think they are. They know how to operate their phones, but they don't know how to operate the features of a sophisticated car. So they always want the purchase process online is easy for them. It's just not easy to explain to them what are the features, what does this button mean? How do you program your, whatever, the screens and whatnot. And one of the things we had to do is to basically conduct a training where we taught all of our sales advisors in the showroom on how to start creating their own YouTube content. I think in our day and age, you can't make it in the workplace if you don't know how to use your phone and make a video out of it. So one of the things we had to teach our sales advisors is to create custom-made videos for their clients on how to operate their cars. And this is not a video, they would talk to the client and say, what exactly would you like to learn about the car? And they would make that video and send it to them over WhatsApp. One of the things I wanted to touch upon is WhatsApp sales.
It was happening over WhatsApp.
It's big. Yes, people want, for some reason, human psyche says, I feel more comfortable talking to you on WhatsApp. Don't call me. I'm going to send you a voice note.
Okay.
And I'm going to bargain.
Most of the work
I'm going to bargain and haggle with you.
But not like ordering a car.
Well, believe it or not, today, even, luxury brands like Tiffany are, you can see that they're displaying their prices online. People are ready to buy anything online. That's my personal opinion, and I've been seeing this happening.
And I think there was a lot of shift with families that used to depend on taxis, okay, to drop things. They bought like cars and drivers for their children, right? And for whatever purposes they need. So the sales industry was good at that time from consumer changes, but it's not as good as what we expected it to be, right? During this time.
So one of the shifts that we've seen starting March is the myth of the shared ownership. So we as a car dealership, we've been hearing that the young generation don't want to own cars. The young generation don't want to have their own cars. The young generation prefer your Uber and Careem. And we've been hearing this over and over and over, and everyone is questioning the future of car ownership. So all I can tell you is earlier in the year, there was a car research that was published, and it was an online survey conducted in the UK and the US. It had over 6,000 respondents, and 40% of the respondents clearly said that they are still not ready not to own a car. People want to own a car, and I'll tell you why. Because everybody wants their own robot. A car is a lot more than just a vehicle. It's a lot more than a machine on wheels for you. it's your identity. It speaks of you. You know, it's your, like for us ladies, it's our mini wardrobe, our mini makeup set, you know, our personal radio station. You know, you are, you know, you find freedom in your car. And we all know that even vloggers and influencers feel a lot confident broadcasting their personal vlogs from behind their car seat.
Yeah, it's true.
So ownership, the big question on ownership was challenged during the pandemic because people were very reluctant to take Ubers and Karims. And we've seen a spike in the purchase of cars that are affordable. So people that, you know, we can see that people that were looking for, let's say, a car that is on the higher end would finally buy a car that is not on the higher end, but they buy a car. So if someone was looking for an X-Trail, he would buy a Sunny, but he would not just not buy. So we felt very confident that whoever is claiming that car ownership will one day go away, I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Okay, it will take time to stabilize. So what is a responsible indulgence? What does it mean?
So let me tell you about responsible indulgence. And first, let's define indulgence. So I'm sure you indulge in, you know,
in anything I want.
What do you indulge in, Zainab?
Chocolates.
Chocolates. I indulge in ice cream. And I think indulgence in general is when you as a consumer allow yourself to, you know, you immerse yourself in a purchase of a product that's going to give you pleasure. Now, people get so irrational sometimes, they don't know for how long this pleasure is going to last, but they still immerse themselves in that purchase. Whether it's a piece of jewelry, whether it's a high-end car, whether it's just a cone of ice cream, you want that minute of, you know, I am experiencing my own personal joy. And I think all throughout history, even during times of oppression, even during times of war, you can never take away from people their need to indulge.
True.
So what happened during the pandemic is it was replaced with a more, you know, toned down version, which I call responsible indulgence. People still want to indulge, but on a much lower tone. Like they're just trying to be sensible. And you know, we've seen it in our lead generation reports. People will still look for, let's say someone is coming in to buy a Nissan Patrol. He will ask to see the top end model, you know, the one with the sunroof and the best leather and the one that only comes, you know, as 10 pieces and is custom made rings and whatever. He won't buy that one, but he would still buy a car. Okay. So in a way, you know, I believe that we as humans need to indulge, and no virus on earth is going to take that away from us.
Okay.
No virus on earth. So
especially the Arab region.
Oh yes, oh yes. But you know, we've seen it in China. Like they said, you know, the classic Hermes example, that Hermes's sales skyrocketed. You know, right after the lockdown, which meant, you know, our Chinese friends were saving their money, and as soon as they were out to the malls, they didn't go for
the most expensive.
They went for a Hermes. And you see it now in Dubai malls. Now that the lockdown is over, you see people walking, and they're not only walking, everyone's walking with lots and lots of bags in their hands. So we're all guilty of indulgence, and a pandemic can make you indulge responsibly, but I don't think indulgence will ever go away.
Do you feel that from, okay, we all like to indulge ourselves, we all like to, you know, feel special with anything that we buy, just to make us feel this pleasure and happiness.
Yes.
But do you think nowadays people are just actually reprioritizing their spending? So like, for example, should I spend it here or should I spend it there? You know, okay, I want to indulge myself, but should I buy a Galaxy or should I buy a Kit Kat? Should I buy, you know, a Mars, or should I buy, I don't know, sneakers?
Yes, if you want a piece of chocolate, you're gonna buy that piece of chocolate. So I think in terms of reprioritizing your spending, in my opinion, there has been new categories of spending that were introduced, but I don't think there are categories that were taken away.
Okay.
So I think you know, I think the biggest new introduction to priorities of, you know, everyone around the world is your health. Probably the younger, you know, the younger crowds, they never care about buying vitamin K or vitamin C, or, you know, shopping for an antioxidant, or, you know, any kind of supplement. They think,
Okay.
you know, when we were young, we all thought we're invincible and we're always going to be as strong as we are. With the whole notion of you building up immunity, we've seen a surge in pharmaceutical and natural supplements. And I think those categories have also skyrocketed in their sales. You know, people were stocking up on vitamin C and vitamin K and anything that they think is going to help them come through. So instead of seeing this category only in the 35 plus age group, even the young people as young as 16-year-old were asking their parents to buy them some vitamins. So I think new categories were introduced. Another new category that was introduced to consumer spending, in my opinion, is insurance. A lot of people were not interested in buying life insurance. And with the COVID-19, everyone was buying life insurance for them, for their families. You know, here in the UAE, you get life insurance by default from your company if you're basically working for your company. But for those who don't have life insurance, they were buying life insurance. And for those who have, you know, the primitive basic insurance plan, were upgrading their plans. I think a third category that came in, and we saw it in our car dealerships. So let me tell you what we were asked. So we were being asked by our customers whether we can introduce job loss insurance to the leasing of our cars.
Okay.
No, people were coming in and saying, we need a car, we want to buy a car, but what if I lose my job? What can you offer me? Can you offer me job loss insurance? And this is a form of insurance that didn't exist in the UAE. It's very common in the US, but now we see it being introduced in the UAE. So I think health and safety insurance are new categories that are being added. Financial and legal products were also being added. People started realizing that it's important to have a will. It's important to have an investment plan, a financial plan. And,
but
you know,
I have a question. Like, for example, if I buy online today and I am not insured, and I don't know, I mean, at the end of the day, where is the trust of the consumer today to easily surrender to anything like an online platform? At the end of the day, what we can see, we have seen significant changes during the COVID-19.
Yes.
And a lot of companies have ran to go into e-commerces and into platforms in a span of 2 months, which is not easy, by the way. We planned these things for years, right? But what is it that these significant changes, how trustworthy is it? Maybe you can give us a bit an idea about the significant changes that actually happened with consumer as a result of the COVID-19, and then we move to the trust factor.
Yes. Well, I think, I mean, look, I think there are industries that shifted from cash to, you know, virtual money or plastic money.
Okay.
And in the automotive, we've seen it. People find it very trustworthy to pay online, as long as, you know, everyone knows the basics, that this is an authenticated website, that it gives you a payment gateway that is trusted by your bank, that you can use, you know, the payment gateways and the, you know, you can use your MasterCards and you can use your Visa and you can use your PayPal. I think the trust element of buying online has been established. The problem with buying online is not the trust element, it's the, you know, having a face to the brand. So do you have a live chat option? Does your live chat option use a face of a person? Can this person
So are these marketing tools? Yes. Are these considered marketing tools? Would we consider them as marketing tools? Okay.
So I think today, after COVID and, you know, this huge spurge in digital, there's no more marketing. There's no more digital marketing, digital sales. They have become intertwined and they form a digital journey or a digital experience.
Okay.
I truly believe that now we have a golden triangle. It's digital marketing, digital sales, digital journey. For example, if you take automotive, first you do your ads, you put the traditional way was you put your radio ads out there, you splash the city with your big outdoor billboards. People walk into the showroom, they buy a car, they have a sales experience, and after they buy a car, they have an after sales experience, and that is basically when you take your car for service. The journey can no longer be like this. It has
Okay.
to be intertwined. As
Okay.
you walk to the showroom or you call your salesperson should be able to know which cars did you browse online, which competing brands did you look for, what is your budget, what's your family, what's the size of your family, what's your social status, and to
And
start
this
the
is where
conversation
research,
from there.
yeah, and this is where research should play a role, because I'm seeing
Yes.
lately with clients, not with clients, even with new ones upcoming, they are not, again, it's the same problem that we have all the time. They are not spending on research. What I see from what you're saying, that you guys spend on research, you know what you're talking about.
Yes.
But a lot of them don't. And I'm worried about the marketing perspective from any types of businesses, because they don't know who to target. The demographics are going to change. The age groups are going to change. The behaviors are going to change. So from a marketing perspective, if a company is looking for that, they technically need to invest in research to know who they're talking to. But there are companies and businesses that have benefited from this situation during the COVID, like you mentioned, the sanitizers that you told and everything, and others are struggling now. So you have retail, F&B, hotels. So what is the advice from a marketing perspective for these entities? You have real estate, so you know how it is now.
Well, it's go digital or go home. And when I say digital, I mean the holistic digital process. So, whether you want to order a latte and you want, toffee nut flavor with almond milk, sprinkle of cinnamon, or you're basically ordering, I don't know, an 18-karat cut necklace from Tiffany. You need to have a platform where you can talk to that customer, where you allow the customer to add their own touch, to personalize. And you need to have a conversation. But if you can't go digital, I mean, if there's one thing this pandemic taught us, is that we have to be out there digital. And like I call it the screen age. We are in the screen age. We went through the ice age and the industrial age and the data age. Now it's a screen age. You should be able to sell anything, behind the screen, and the whole process will go behind the screen. I think one day the day will come where you can't even visit your doctor. You're gonna, talk to your doctor behind the screen. They're gonna scan your body and, run the tests on you behind the screen. And it's gonna be the same if you're ordering a burger. So it is the screen age, and the screen age is not just digital marketing. It's not just retargeting and SEO and display ads. It's a lot more than this.
Okay.
I honestly believe that even digital marketing will go obsolete one day. It's all about, just like you and me now. You see me, I see you, and we're talking as if we're sitting next to each other. And this is how brands and people have to be right now. There's no need for marketing.
The only thing I would stress on is the fact that the Arab region, they love to interact. Even when they buy things, they love to interact. I'm not sure how is it going to happen here, because if you go to the Far East, you'll find that half of them are robots. They all work online, And you go to Europe, they also love to interact, but at the same time, they are technology savvy. And the same thing with the US. And the Arab region is like a completely different ballgame altogether. But I think, as we mentioned, there will be certain trends that we need to follow. And from that perspective, maybe you can give us, I want you to give an advice from a marketeer perspective as to once you go online, what are the certain trends that you need to follow? What are the things that you make use of?
I will, but I wanted to touch upon the Arab region. I think the Arab region is very comfortable behind the screen. They're just not comfortable expressing themselves. So, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when the internet boom of blogs was there, and everybody became a writer, everybody wrote poems, everybody wrote product reviews. The only region in the world that did not pick up the writing, blogging, was the Arab region, sadly.
And in Arabic, which we lack,
which we lack absolutely. And you know, like Nizar Qabbani, our famous author, said once in one of his interviews that the best-selling books in the Arab world are horoscopes and recipe books. And to him, this means the Arab world only knows how to dream and eat, sadly enough. So we don't know how to express in writing, but we love to express in talking. And once Snapchat was introduced, I mean, the boom of Snapchat was crazy because you didn't even have to write a caption for your post.
True.
You know, people just put up the screen and spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke. So I think with digital marketing, it's about being able to have a conversation with your consumer. We were taught in our marketing courses back in university, and those curriculums did not change, that we need to work on messaging. And a messaging is a claim. It's about me pitching myself to you. You know, Zena, I did this and I did that and I did, but you can no longer do this as a brand. As a brand, you listen and you converse. But this is not easy because as a marketeer, you have to understand that marketing no longer sits with you. It sits with everybody in your organization. It
Very
sits
true.
with the receptionist. It sits with your call center agent. It sits with your sales advisor. It sits with your after sales advisor. So you can no longer, you know, do the traditional thing. I'm going to work with an agency on a beautiful TVC and I'm just going to send it as an FYI to the rest of the organization. You need to sit with those people. You need to teach them how to talk to your consumers. I think it's very different now.
Yeah,
It's
but
very
yet, I still also, going back to the Arab region, they do not care to train their people. And this is something I have been seeing throughout all my career. Before, I
sadly.
used to work for companies that used to invest in training their staff because they would
Yes,
love to see them grow. Now it's all
sadly.
about how much do we pay that person the cheapest so they can deliver the job that we need. Not caring about the
Sadly.
training, sadly, not caring about the training or where do they have to become so they can add value to the company. So I
Yes.
agree with you on that.
So one of the things that we're working on at Masaood at the moment is training our people to live their new work life behind the screen. I remember when we launched our clicks at Masaood Automobiles, we sold 2 Infinity cars within 1 week, and that
Nice.
was during the month of April. But then when our sales guy was talking to his first customer, two of his friends were standing behind his back and poking. So
Okay.
there's a lot of new conversation etiquette that you need to train your people on. How, you know, how to hold the screen, how to fix the lighting, to speak a bit slower.
Or the tone of voice on WhatsApp and all of that, which might be understood wrong also. That's another thing.
Exactly. So one of the things we're doing now is we have this very immense program where we're basically teaching more than 100 of our frontliners how to speak behind the screen, how to sales pitch behind the screen, how to create your own video, how to layer it with music, lighting, sound effects, and WhatsApp protocol. So, and this is what marketeers are doing today. You know,
Yeah.
it's a completely different. It's a new game. It's even a new game for us marketeers with experience because it's uncharted waters. It's things we have not done. I mean, look at you. You've decided to launch a podcast. You're not writing a book, and everyone now knows that Tony Robbins said it. Don't write a book anymore. Make a master class. So you have to ride the wave of this new age media, which is all about screen conversations.
It's very true, unfortunately. And I love people. I love seeing people and I love communicating with people more than screens, What is the last advice for any business when it comes to, dealing with consumers and retaining those consumers from a marketing perspective? How do you retain them today from a technology perspective? I need an
Yes.
advice because today from a car industry, it's the most difficult going online and selling cars online. So how do you keep your loyal customers by doing the right marketing and conversations and all
Yes.
those formats?
I think, again, I think marketing is the outer shell of the organization, and there are a lot of organizations that work so well on the outer shell, but the inner shell remains old. I think today, when we talk about data, it's about, you know, your inside data. I think businesses cannot survive if they don't have the right data.
Oh, that's true.
I really don't think people, you know, businesses can survive. And my advice would be, like, marketeers, I know this is very controversial, and I know some marketeers will hate me for saying it, but we are now data analysts. You know, we can't just not look at the data. We have to look at the data. We have to look at the spending. We have to look at what, you know, conversations happening online and what people are looking for.
Just to clarify, when you say data, you're talking about numbers data or people's data?
Both numbers and people. I'll throw in an example. When Saudi Arabia opened up to women owning cars, most of the car brands started their digital marketing targeting women. You know, so, you know, like your typical Google SEO would be put in the term of, you know, woman trying to look for an X-Trail color blue wheels, blah blah blah.
Okay.
Even us as a dealership fell for that trap. We used the conventional way of looking at digital marketing, and then we had a sit down with Facebook, and Facebook came to us and said, do you know that women in Saudi Arabia do not search for cars online? Because this is too new to them, they still prefer to go with either their father, their brother, or the husband to the showroom for them to choose the car for them. So if you're trying to target women online as a car seller, you still need to look at women who are looking at lipstick, who are looking at, you know, shades, who are looking at dresses.
Okay.
Don't think that you can find a woman online that is, you know, putting the terminologies that you've just plugged into your SEO, like a V6 engine. No, look for a woman that's looking for Huda Beauty new color palette.
So this is where the behavior plays a role.
Yes, and we didn't know this. The data told us this. You know, even if you do your own research with your consumer, you might not get it in full. Now, the good thing is today we have those data giants. You have your Snapchats and you know, your publishers, your online publishers. If you build a strong relationship with them, you really can tap into a world of beneficial data. But as a marketeer, if you do not tap into this data, you're gonna fail. That's really my humble opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
So research, we go back to the same thing again. I think, Marwa, we tapped into a very interesting topic. I think we can talk about it till tomorrow.
Yes.
I think what needs to happen is technically change the way we look at promoting businesses and you know, dealing with what we have to, so we can reach the consumer. And I said this in my previous video that post-summer, we're going to see a lot of changes from demographics, nationalities, age groups. And since a lot of people might be leaving, newcomers are coming in. So we're going to see that change taking place. One more thing, just one advice for everyone going online.
Yes.
Is it that they have to do? From not marketing perspective, what is it as a business? What is it that they have to consider? Is it research? Is it, be it fancy online? Is it having the right salespeople? What is it that you advise?
I think it's an ecosystem. So again, for businesses that are brick and mortar and they are shifting to digital, they need to understand that shifting to digital is not building a new website, because websites are becoming obsolete. It's like opening a completely new business. So look at your digital as your completely new business. And that's like what I try to say to a lot of the general managers of the smaller SMEs that I work with. don't split your business into two spheres, a digital sphere and a business sphere. It's one. And digital has to be, you know, it's high maintenance.
Yes.
You know, you have to look at it, you have to change it, you have to upgrade it, you have to add to it. It's not a project anymore. It's not like I do it in 1 year, it runs and it feeds itself by itself.
It's not, okay.
So it's a business on its own. It's a full ecosystem. And in this ecosystem, every aspect of it should be digital. And this is a big challenge, Zaina, for a lot of older businesses that started as brick and mortar and now have to shift to digital. The younger, you know, the younger entrepreneurs and the SMEs, they start fresh with the right foundation. But, you know, industries like insurance and banking, you know, transportation, logistics, they have a long way to go because they're, you know, they just have to change their DNA and inject a completely new thinking into it. I just remembered one thing about your question with the elderly and how comfortable the elderly are with online. If I talk specifically about the UAE or maybe the Gulf region, I would tell you they're comfortable online, but you need to address them in their own language. So I go into this debate with a lot of people. You go digital, you go one language, English only, no need for Arabic. If you're looking at the elderly, they're ready to surf for you online, but you have to speak to them in Arabic. So
it's
Arabic
very sad,
should be there.
It's very sad how we have a lack in Arabic content. It's a very beautiful language. Example, نص ساعة مع زينة بنحكي بالعربي للتو بتحكي عربي. جربت أعمل كتير بالعربي. هلا of course there are a lot that actually helped me in Arabic. But a lot of them did not feel comfortable. هلا I understand some businesses they use a lot of terminologies in English and using, especially in marketing, Arabic definitions is very difficult. So we encourage everyone to maybe use Arabic in a lot of their communications. It's very important for sure.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you so much, Marwa, for your time. Habibti, thanks a lot.
Thanks,
it was lovely.
This was wonderful.
Same, and best of luck to you and to Al Masaood Group, of course. They're a very big organization and very well reputable one. Wish you the best of luck with this change and hopefully see you soon.
See you.
لحظة رجعتي جمدتي.
Yeah, I won't leave. بس بدي اياك تسكري.
لا جمدتي هون. رح أقول مرة ثانية.
Okay.
And hopefully to see you soon, Marwa.
Thank you, Zaina. Hope to see you soon as well.
Same here. Take care.
Bye-bye.